Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, John and Lee proudly present the greatest wrestling show ever!
Right, guys, welcome to episode 11 of the greatest wrestling show ever. Evening, Lee. How are we doing?
Good evening, John. Good. How are you?
Yeah, good. Round to go. I'm a big Trish Stratus fan. You missed Trish's run and all that, didn't you?
Yeah, I missed both of these. I'd say this, out of all the matches we've done so far, I know there's been quite a few where I've known very little. I'd say this one above all, I know the least about all the people involved.
Well, good. So you're in for a treat then, mate. You are in for a treat. So we're at Unforgiven 2006 on the WWE Network, September 17th, 2006. We're slightly before the Trish versus Lita chapter because that starts as the entrances begin. We've rewound a couple of minutes back to 1 hour, 33 minutes and 30 seconds into the pay-per-view, which is about to start the recap video. So 1 hour, 33:30, playing in 3, 2, 1. Cool, so going into this, Lita is the champion, and if I remember correctly, Trish retires after the end of this match, irrespective of what happens. I'm fairly sure that's the case. I think Trish's last match as a full-timer. So you missed out, really, Trish. Trish was one of the major... Oh, they're showing now, but this is a recap of Trish's history. She came in as manager of a tag team called TNA, as in, you know what TNA stands for.
Indeed.
Yeah, well, it stood for Test and Albert. It was Test, but went on to become A-Train, is now Matt Bloom, the head coach at the Performance Center.
Okay.
Trish came in as manager of TNA in a clever little joke, but then she started wrestling and went on to be a good wrestler. Probably one of the main faces of the revitalized women's wrestling side of things at that particular point in history, along with Lita, who had coincidentally come in at the same sort of time, offering a different sort of perspective, good looking, but not in necessarily the traditional way that Trish was. So I think coming into this, Trish is a former 5-time champion, because I'm fairly sure she ends up as a 6-time champion, and she, spoiler alert, wins it in this one.
That's a spoiler.
Sorry. So she's chatting to Carlito backstage. You'll have missed Carlito as well, won't you?
Yeah.
Carlito came in, I want to say, about a year or so before this. I think he won the US title on his debut, if I remember correctly. And what Carlito did is he chewed on an apple and then spat it at his opponent.
Well, that was his thing.
Yeah, that's the gimmick. Apple chewer.
Interesting.
So showing the build-up to this particular thing. Oh, did you see that? Lita landed on the outside from that tope. So that was the main event, the first time women had main evented Raw, maybe like a year or so before that. Trish was on the outside. Lita went for a tope, a dive through the ropes, and I don't know if you saw it then. She lands like face down, but with her legs folded over, almost like a crab. So she finished the match winning the title from Trish in that main event, but then had to vacate it afterwards because of the back injury she'd suffered on that dive.
Crikey.
When Trish first started, she was very much eye candy, but like I said, worked hard to become a competent, at the very least, wrestler. And a lot of the major improvements to both her and the rest of the women's division around that time is put down to Dave Finlay, who we saw in last week's Money in the Bank ladder match.
Yeah.
For a period, he was in charge of the women's division. That was when he wasn't wrestling. He'd still recovering from an injury that caused him to retire a couple of years before then coming back as an active member of the roster. So this actually takes place the same year. This is 2006, the same year as that Money in the Bank. So actually, by this point, Dave Finlay is an active member of the roster, but for the years preceding that, he'd been in charge with the training and development of the women's division.
So at this point here, then, there's only one women's championship brand.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so a couple of years after this, they brought in a second one, which they call the Divas Championship, so as to differentiate it from the Women's Championship.
Right.
And then when they were unified, they chose to keep the Divas title name. And then A few years later, the match at WrestleMania 31 in 2005, you had a three-way match between defending Divas champion Charlotte against, if I remember correctly, it was Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch, with the winner being given the newly created Women's Championships. So they'd gone full circle, going from women's to Divas back to women's. And that belt was presented to the winner of that match, Charlotte, by Lita herself.
So for example, she's the champion here.
Yeah.
So she only ever really formed storylines then with other women that fight under the same brand as her.
I think the women's champion could appear on both brands, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong about that. I'm not 100% sure.
I mean, the VTs we saw before, they suggested they were both on Raw.
Yeah, it may have been exclusive. I think over the years, at different points, the women's title has been exclusive to one particular brand and has been defended across both. So I'm not quite sure what it is at this point in history.
Yeah.
So good news. Whilst last week there was a massive oversight in the Greatest 100 Matches book, where they didn't include that Money in the Bank match, they have included this one, Trish Stratus versus Lita. So I'll give you an explanation of the lead-up, at least according to the authors of this book. For more than 6 years, Trish Stratus was one of the most successful divas in WWE history. Starting as a manager, Stratus went on to hold the WWE Women's Championship 6 times, tying her with a fabulous Moolah for the most title reigns ever. Her longest rivalry was with Lita, and when Lita heard that Stratus was planning to retire after Unforgiven, Lita told WWE.com before Trish could break the news. Trish decided the best way to get revenge was to challenge Lita, the current WWE Women's Champion, to a title match at Unforgiven 2006. Lita, looking to send her longtime adversary out with a loss, agreed to the match. So actually, I was incorrect going into this. Trish is a former 6-time champion, so she becomes, spoiler, a 7-time champion by winning it tonight.
So Lita,
she is, yeah. I think several times throughout their storied rivalry, there was different combinations. I think you had one where, or a time where Trish was the heel, Lita the face. There's definitely times where they were both faces. One of my favourite Trish and Lita memories is at the Invasion pay-per-view. So I'm sure you're probably aware, in March 2001, WWEF bought WCW. And over the months, there was a series of events and angles related to the WCW and ECW wrestlers invading. And they had a pay-per-view that July between King of the Ring and SummerSlam called Invasion, which was a series of matches with WWE superstars versus some alliances, they were called, the ECW, WCW wrestlers.
Yeah.
And Trish and Lita teamed together to beat, I think it's Stacy Keibler and someone else. Then the best bit was, as they were celebrating and walking backwards up the ramp, they came within a millimetre of falling back off the end of it. It literally is almost like in slow-mo, like the back of their feet went off. They realised they were going and they stumbled around and managed to save themselves.
You said that was a highlight, did you say?
Yeah. Well, no offence to Stacy Keibler, she got very nice legs, but any match involving Stacy Keibler wasn't, the highlight was never going to be her, the wrestling, shall we say. She went out with George Clooney for a while, Stacy Keibler did.
Well.
Right, fun fact for you. So this show is actually held in Trish's hometown of Toronto. She's the local girl. As it says in the write-up here, Stratus came out to a thunderous ovation in her hometown of Toronto. The crowd then erupted into a "Thank you, Trish" chant. After a lockup, which we've just seen, Lita shoved Trish several times until Stratus exploded out of the ring corner with a clothesline, knocking Lita down. That's exactly what happened. So Trish retires after this match and gets a nice send-off. The following month, or possibly the month after that, Lita decides to call it a day and gets a somewhat less respectful sending off after her final match, Crime Time, which was a tag team of the time. It was, you may have read Shad Gaspard, he was one half of Crime Time. He drowned about a year ago. If you saw that in the news.
No.
right at the start of lockdown, if I remember correctly, he was trying to save his son, who got into trouble off the coast, and he unfortunately then drowned whilst trying to save him. That's a by the by anyway. But Crime Time was a tag team of Shad Gaspard and JTG, who played sort of, I don't know what you would call them, hoodlum, sort of criminal types.
Yeah.
And after the end of Lita's retirement match, they come out, apparently unbeknownst to her, at the behest of Vince and co. It was arranged, but Lita didn't know it was going to happen. And they decided to go through her stuff, pulling out things like dildos and frilly knickers and all that out of her bag. That was the final send-off. Apparently she wasn't overly happy about it.
So what happened to the Women's Championship after this match then? Because obviously she vacates and retires.
Off the top of my head, I can't remember. I'll Google it in a minute just while I get a chance. But yeah, she vacates it straight away, and there'll be some sort of tournament or battle royal or something to crown a new champion. So I presume you don't know much about Lita either.
Only the answers to the questions I prepared for you.
Oh, go on then. Hit me with them first rather than me spoiling it.
It might be really easy. Do you know what Lita's birth name is?
Oh, I do, but it's not coming to me at the moment. No, pass.
Amy Dumas.
Dumas, that's it. Yeah. Well, next.
All right, Trish then. Which year did she debut in WWE?
2000, I thought, unless it was late 99. Yeah, 2000.
Correct. And how many WWE Women's Championships did she win?
7. No. Sorry, we're talking about Lita or Trish, sorry.
Trish.
Trish, 7.
I've got 9 written down here.
9? Unless I don't think she wins any more in some of her periodical returns after her retirement, I don't think.
You've written down the wrong answer. I think I trust you more than the website that I used.
Yeah, well, it says 7 in this book in front of me. I thought it was 6 actually, but yeah. Go on then.
And what was Lita's first stage name?
Ooh, so not in WWE, presumably. I think she was always Lita there. So probably when she was in Mexico, Miss Congeniality?
Angelica.
Angelica. She was also Miss Congeniality at one point, so named after the Sandra Bullock film that was out at the time. So she'd actually debuted in Mexico and then made it to WWE shortly afterwards, Lita had. And she initially managed a Mexican wrestler called S.A. Rios. I vaguely remember him appearing on Heat with her as a manager, but she was quickly shifted over to be manager of Matt and Jeff Hardy, and collectively between them they became known as Team Extreme. She definitely fitted in the young, funky-looking, slightly grungy, daredevil sort of gimmick and lifestyle they got, and she started going out with Matt Hardy. I don't know if you know that. They were partners for quite some time until...
They featured a lot when I was researching questions for you.
Until Edge got involved. Do you know about that?
No.
Edge and Lita, while Matt was off injured, Edge started banging Lita.
As in not work, this really happened.
I know. Full genuine, proper banging. And Matt went a bit off the trolley. Matt's, from my understanding of what I've seen of him, is a little bit of an emotional guy. And when he found out about it, he didn't react quite as well as he could have done, particularly on, not on social media because that didn't exist, but on websites and forums and what have you. And he actually ended up getting sacked, which is possibly a bit harsh. He's the one that's been badly done by in that situation. So he was briefly sacked and then brought back in what they tried to make look like a work. So he ran out of the crowd and attacked Edge, calling him Adam, his real name, trying to make it look realistic.
Yeah.
And then Edge absolutely crushed him in their feud. Yeah, it was brilliant.
That's harsh.
You can be as prick as much as you like, fuck people over and all that, as long as you can earn them some money.
Well, that's brilliant.
They beat Matt in about 5 minutes by blood stoppage of their first match at SummerSlam 2005, I think it was, and then conclusively won the feud, continuing to elevate himself to main event status, while Matt slipped down the card a little bit.
Oh, God.
That's life, though, unfortunately. And he's happy now, Matt, I'm sure. He's married to Rebe, I think her name is, with 3 kids, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
So Edge did him a favour.
And Edge is married to... So Edge wasn't with his wife?
No, so he's currently married. I think they're married. We've definitely got kids and together. Beth Phoenix.
Yeah, because she featured heavily with the Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Didn't they?
Yeah. No, I think back in the day, Edge was a bit of a naughty boy. I believe he used to go out with Val Venus's sister, and I know he cheated on her, if I remember correctly. And obviously, he was happy to keep his close friends, girlfriend company while he was out injured.
Like the John Terry of the wrestling world.
What?
The John Terry.
Oh, John Terry. I thought you were talking about me, John. I was like, what? John Terry. Right. Okay. Continuing through the description here. Back in the ring, Lita had the official keep Trish away until she recovered, began punching.
Oh!
You've seen that? What happened there? Missed that.
Under the
A neck breaker, was it?
yeah.
In front of me, I've got here the top 10 Trish versus Lita matches. So it's got a street fight they had on Raw in 2000, a match on Raw in 2004, strap match in 2000, New Year's Revolution 2005 singles match, Bad Blood 2004. I can't remember any of these. I think presume this is going to be number 1. Unforgiven 2006, number 4.
Yeah.
The 4th. Oh yeah, Hurricane Rana off the top. Okay. They put down Royal Rumble 2008, which was 18. Sorry, was the first ever Women's Royal Rumble, and both Trish and Lita came back for that. So I wouldn't really class that as their match as such. And then they both came back for a tag match at Evolution, the first ever all-female, well, the only ever all-female WWE pay-per-view. In late 2018, Lita and Trish joined forces to face Alicia Fox and Mickie James. And funnily enough, Mickie James, my friend, is married to Mickie James. Isn't that funny? Anyway, so the number 1 match they've got is headlining Raw for the first time, 2004. That match where Lita did the tope through the ropes and ended up hurting her back. I've got down in front of me the total match stats. Do you want to have a guess how many times Lita and Trish wrestled each other?
She's the sharpshooter.
She's in Canada. That's what you're doing when you're in Canada.
Well, sorry, I keep forgetting we're on the podcast. I'm getting drawn into the match here.
So, do you want to have a guess how many times Lita and Trish have wrestled each other?
86.
How many?
86.
Oh, 76. I thought you got it right for a minute. Oh, she's tapped. She's gone. Yes, they've wrestled each other 76 times. Trish has won 19. Lita has won 56. I did not realise Lita had won that feud so comprehensively. With 76 matches, Lita is Trish's 4th most wrestled opponent. Far and away, though, the top 2 are Victoria, who she wrestled 208 times, and Molly Holly, who she wrestled 165 times. Interesting. She wrestled Vince McMahon once down at number 90. Vince McMahon she wrestled. I don't recall that.
No, Andrew, why is she retiring here? Was it recurring injuries or?
I think just felt that she'd. I don't know if there's any specific, particularly bad injury. Maybe just feeling she's getting wear and tear, and that she'd done it all, and it was just time to move on. I don't remember any kind of acute reason. Just I think maybe she just felt she'd done everything she was going to do.
How old is she?
That's a very good question. Not sure, won't be old. Like late 20s, I'd have thought.
Yeah, she doesn't look old.
28 for a guess. 20, maybe 30 at most. She came in 2000, and she'd been fairly young when she came in. She'd have come in the year 2000, aged like 22.
Who's that? Who's just having a moment with her?
Lillian Garcia, ring announcer, left the company a few years ago. So in my top 100 books, it says, for the aftermath, Trish retired a 7-time WWE Women's Champion, establishing a record that still has not been broken. She's made occasional return appearances in WWE, and in 2013, Trish was added to WWE's Hall of Fame. Her rival Lita announced 2 months later she was also retiring. Yeah, after this. At Survivor Series 2006, Lita, having recaptured the Women's Championship, lost the title again in her last match, this time to Mickie James. That's when Crime Time came out and embarrassed her. In 2014, not only did Lita join her longtime rival Trish in the WWE Hall of Fame, but Trish actually inducted her.
Oh, wow.
Mm. And we are done. Right. Any other little quiz questions about Trish or Lita for me?
We're talking about ages. Do you want to guess what year, or do you know what year Lita was born in?
Ooh, so let me think. So this is 2006. I'm going to guess she's 28 there. 1978.
1975.
Okay, fraction older than I thought.
And this one might be more obvious. Trish's profession prior to wrestling.
Trish's?
No, sorry, Lita's. No, Trish's.
I know she owns a yoga studio now. Model, maybe?
Model, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
Marvellous, right. So let's bring up the list of matches that we've still got left. We're down to the last 4, I think it is now. Got some absolute barn burners coming up. We've got the Intercontinental title match, Ricky Steamboat versus Randy Savage. We've got the Cena Punk match. What else is there still in there? It's just loading up now. Brett versus Stone Cold. That's a good match. Come on, load up. Okay, here we go. Right, sorry, I just realised I'd pressed stop record there by accident, so we'd missed that last little bit there, just the last 30 seconds or so. So I was just saying there, we realised we made a mistake. We've actually got, out of all people, Matt Hardy is in 2 matches, and he got mentioned in this one as well. We'd already picked him to be part of the WrestleMania 17 TLC 2 match, and then he accidentally ended up in, for a second time, as being part of the Money in the Bank match because Ric Flair was in it. So amazingly, out of the greatest matches of all time, the only person to make 2 appearances is Matt Hardy.
We're just giving the guy a break after the hard time he had with Edge.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. And he got knocked out a few months ago. He's had a hard time. We did, though, however, accidentally put other people in twice and then get rid of matches because we'd done that. I think we ended up with Bret Hart and Steve Austin in twice and said, we can't do that. But no, we can have Matt Hardy in twice.
I mean, the TLC match was absolutely brilliant.
So we're saying TLC next, and that then leaves us with Bret and Austin, followed by Punk and Cena. Oh, we've got Ricky Steamboat as well. Maybe one of those singles match. Maybe Steamboat, Savage, or Bret and Austin next.
Yeah, if we do Steamboat and Savage, and then after that, there's only 1 title match left, then, isn't there?
No, there's 2 because the TLC matches are the tag titles and.
Well, sorry,
yeah.
Titles, yeah.
Yeah, so basically 3 out of the next 4 matches are titles matches, so it needs to be a title match coming up next. So it's either has to be the TLC match or the IC title match, and we've spoken enough about Matt Hardy for now, so let's leave that for the following week.
I feel like I need to wait for months around next week then. So Steamboat, we're saying. I
think we'd struggle to get Matt Hardy mentioned in the Steamboat Savage match. I don't think they won't have wrestled. He won't have wrestled any of them. I can't think of a time frame where that would have worked.
No.
I'm sure you can think of something.
I'll make a list of people that Savage and Steamboat never wrestled.
It could be like the seven steps of Randy Savage, like the whatever it is, Kevin Bacon one.
Yeah.
Awesome, right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers.